First, we have literature that has Japanese folk tales. First is Ushinboshi, also known as the One-Inch Boy. Then there is the Peach Boy, about an old couple that finds a boy inside of a peach and take care of him. Then next is the Tongue-Cut Sparrow, which I put the full story. And then after that we have Myths and Legends. Then we have the Tale of the Oki Islands, that's about a girl whose dad was sent to the Oki Islands and the girl ends up getting her dad back. Then we have Essays and Speeches. Next we have Shooting an Elephant and then more research on that. Then next we have The Night the Bed Fell and more research about that also. And then next the Declaration of War on Japan. Next we have Geography and Modern Japanese Civilization. I put videos and pictures of modern things that they have in Japan. Next is The Land of the Rising Sun, and I gave information about that. And then after The Land of the Rising Sun is 4 major Japanese islands, and I did research on those islands. And then after the Japanese islands, we have the Pacific Ocean and the Japanese Sea, and I researched those. And then next is Mount Fuji, and I did more research on that also. And then we have next, after Mount Fuji, we have Tokyo, and I located where Tokyo was and the modern city. After that, we have feudal Japan. Next, we have the 4 islands of Japan, and I went to different websites and got information about those and wrote little summaries and information. After that, we have typhoons and earthquakes, and I did research and watched videos about that and articles about that also. Then the Virgin Sea in the Pacific Rim, I got some information off of that also. Then location and maps, and I located some of the islands and the Ring of Fire along with Japan and Tokyo. Next is art and design. We have horizontal lines, and I read more things about that information. Next is Pablo Picasso, and I located 2 pictures and described them. Then next after that is the Great Wave of Kanagawa, and I learned more about the artist in the picture. Then comes architecture and understanding how architecture is in Japanese buildings. Also, that comes with understanding architecture in the art of the building. And then cemetery lines and what that is, along with shapes, domes, and columns. And then the Parthenon. Then next comes the Parthenon and how that was a Greece temple and how they worshipped Athena. Then we have the Great Stupa, which is a shrine where they pray to Buddha and they worship him. And after that we have Hambajimi Castle and what that was and what people did there. And then there was next comes the Guggenheim Museum in New York City and how the history of that began and where that came from. Next we have the Art of Japan, and I put pictures and images and information about art in Japan and the different types of art they have. After that we have becoming familiar with the Great Buddha and how that is a shrine, how they have different shrines in different countries. And then next there is landscape gardens, and I put different pictures and images of gardens that they have in Japan and what type of gardens that they have. Next comes science and spider silk. I researched more on spider silk and why it's so strong. After that we have math and the basics of origami and different types of origami. Next we have modern Japanese civilization and what they wear, what type of food they eat, buildings and art. And then we have the Japanese flag, and I give a description of the flag and a piece of information. Then modern cities, such as Tokyo, I put up a list of the top 10 cities in Japan. And then traditional crafts, origami, I put images. And then traditional costume, I put the kimono and how to put it on and what to wear. Then comes feudal Japan with samurais and what happened then. Then we have shoguns and emperors and what that was. Then next we have the samurai code and the 7 virtues. And then we have the rigid class system that had to do with upper class, middle class, and lower class type of system. Next after that we have Japan closed to outsiders and why they did that and what was the situation at the time. Next is history. We start off with World War II and what happened when the Japanese attacked on Pearl Harbor December 1941. Then we have the background of Japan and how they grew into a country and they rose in power, the geography of Japan, and then the end of the Japanese isolation and how that turned. Then we have the Meiji Restoration that brought a revolution to Japan. After that, we have the Japanese imperialism and how they invaded Korea and did some bad things to them. Then next was the Japanese-Soviet relations and how that was and what was that back then. Next we have what happened on Pearl Harbor and how the Japanese attacked and killed over 2,300 people. Next was the Japanese-American Internment, which was the World War Internment in war relocation camps. Then was the fall of the Philippines and how the Japanese invaded them. Next came the Battle Midway, which was how the U.S. attacked the Japanese 6 months after the attack on Pearl Harbor. Then the island's amphibious landing, which is the lead ship that planes would land on. Next is the surrender of Japan, which was when Japan's Navy and Air Force was completely destroyed. Then the atomic bombs of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. This destroyed mainly cities and many people died. Then the U.S. dictates pacifist constitution for Japan, Emperor Hirohito, who is best known for being Japan's longest reigning emperor. Next is the Potsdam Conference that I put articles and I read about, and then the United Nations headquarters that is in New York, and more things about that. Then we have non-Western music, and I put more articles about that. Next we have the 12-tone scale with Arnold Schulenberg and how he created it, and I put more information about that and what that is. And then after that we have the sitar from India, which is a type of musical instrument, and then we have the Caribbean steel drums and how that originated from the Caribbean and how it's made out of steel. And then we have the Japanese koto, which is also a type of instrument that you pluck, and it's really unique and has a really pretty sound to it. Then we go to religion and we have Buddhism. And I went on Discovery and other websites and learned more about that. And then we also have Shintoism, which is another religion that is popular in Asia.